Hi there, it's Bony Tony here again, and today I'm going to talk about band names. So I thought I would start off by showing you my picture made up of old gig tickets with some silly names on there actually, like Gorky's Zygotic Monkey for instance. Yeah, that's the only silly one there actually. Anyway, never mind. Right, so I'm going to talk about the silly band names, so I'm going to kick off my slippers and get on the sofa. I'd just like to introduce you to Bony Ducky here. Hello, Bony Ducky. Hello. So it's Bony Tony, Bony Ducky, right, in case you didn't get that. And so, silly band names, let's talk about that, get myself comfortable. Oops. Right, so, well, I've always thought Stereo MCs was a silly band name, but it's not that silly because I researched their history and they started out as two DJs effectively, or it said they dispensed with a band. So, but the thing is, like what always got me about the Stereo MCs, when they were on top of the pops, that bloke in his baggy jeans moving from side to side, do you remember those great lyrics, to the left, and he used to move to the left, to the right, and he used to move to the right in his baggy jeans. I mean, it didn't look like it was very easy to move in those. But then again, do you remember MC Hammer? You can't touch this. But anyway, so I thought, why are they called Stereo MCs? And what's so great about stereo? I mean, it's not a new thing, is it? You know, you don't get many mono MCs, do you? So that's all I've got to say about them. I was going to go on to the stereophonics, but I researched what that actually meant, and I didn't know that a stereophone is headphones. Do you like this cutting-edge camera work? You know, this is like makes things exciting. You know, like a bit like in another technique of making things exciting is ghost films when bugger all happens, but somebody suddenly opens a door really loudly in the dark, and the opening of the door is about as loud as a nuclear explosion. And of course, it makes you jump because sudden loud noises that aren't, you know, that you aren't aware are going to happen make you jump. That doesn't make it scary or a good film. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I'm going off-piste. Right, next band name, Japan. Why? Why Japan? You know, could have been. Did they kind of stick a pin in the map of the world? You know, what would have happened if they picked, I don't know, the People's Republic of North Korea? That would have been a cooler name, actually. And then, right, I'll move on from that. So, Spandau Ballet, what's that about? You know, Spandau was associated at the time, still is quite possibly, with the famous prison where Rudolf Hess was imprisoned at the time. I mean, he was about 79 at the time. It's not like, you know, he was Charlie Manson or, you know, wasn't cool, or he's still quite young at the time. He was an old bloke. And it's a kind of juxtaposition of like things that don't go together, isn't it? Like Spandau, why, like I say, and ballet, you know, Spandau Ballet. So you're supposed to picture Rudolf Hess, aged 79, sort of doing ballet in his cell. I mean, is that what the band were trying to convey? Or if not, what? I mean, spandex ballet would have been better. You know, spandex, could use that to do ballet in, couldn't you? Could use spandex trousers. The men especially. And then going on to the next one, The Jam. It's fine, The Jam. It's not a brilliant name, but you know what it means. It's a musical term for jamming with your guitar or whatever, and your bass, and your, you know, and just kind of like making it up as you go along. But the only stupid thing about it is that whenever they were on top of the pops, I used to sort of look in the paper or the Radio Times or whatever to see what was on top of the pops, and it always said Jam. I mean, I'm sorry, it's not jam, it's The Jam. There's a big difference there. You know, jam is a sweet substance that you put on in sandwiches. It's, you know, like there's a group called Marmalade from the 60s. So they weren't called Jam, they were The Jam. It makes an important difference. It means something totally different, okay? Radio Times. Next time, Jam are on top of the pops, remember that. Now, the next category is any band name that doesn't use the word the in front for no apparent reason. So, you know, imagine if it was Beatles. You have to say, although that's what, what's his name? Ed, you know what I'm trying to say, Ed Sullivan. Do you remember, if you've ever seen that clip? when Ed Sullivan introduces them, and it just goes like, Beatles. Anyway, it wasn't Beatles, was it? Or, and it wasn't Who. It was The Beatles and The Who. Although Who, ? Would have worked, but The Who is probably better. Anyway, examples of bands that for no apparent reason ban you from using the in front of their names. The worst one is Foals. Yeah, off with that, can't you? Foals. What's wrong with the Foals? Why Foals? What does that mean? Is it like you're supposed to go like, Foals, look over there, Foals. Is that the concept? And then another example is editors. Why not the editors? What's wrong with the editors? Why editors? Look over there, editors. Or, the Manic Street Preachers, not the Manic Street Preachers, although they can be called the Manics. Why not just Manics? If they ever hear anyone calling them the Manics, they should smack them. Apply the same rules to Manics as to Manic Street Sweepers. The artist formerly known as Prince. Yeah, well, look, it's still in your title, you div. Still giving away the name that you're trying to keep secret in your name. The artist formerly known as... Ooh, sorry, you gave it away. Prefab Sprout. No, I don't think so, because although it's a ridiculous name, it's meant to be ridiculous, I assume. I don't think it has a... they're going for a serious name there with Prefab Sprout. So therefore, if they're deliberately being silly, then it's not a silly band name. It's only a silly band name if they think it's cool, and it's not. So I'm going to let Prefab Sprout off, but I just wanted to mention them because it is a silly name, but it's not a really silly name in the way that I care about, because it's deliberately silly. I need to breathe. Something and the something, you get a lot of silly names. Like one I didn't like was Doctor and the Medics. Why not Construction Worker and the Scaffold? Or Detective and the Coppers, there's another one. It seems to be no reason for it. Another one I didn't like was Reverend and the Makers, for the same reason, although what do they mean by makers? Makers of what? Do they mean God? Reverend and the Gods? I don't know what they mean. Because I assume it has some religious connection like Reverend. Also, it's a bit exclusive of like other religions, isn't it? It's not inclusive, it's exclusive. Echo and the Bunnymen, that's a pretty ridiculous one, isn't it? Echo and the Bunnymen. I mean, Echo, yeah, because they're from Liverpool. The Liverpool Echo is a newspaper. Or Echo. But the Bunnymen, I mean, is that a Liverpool thing? Probably something they thought up on acid, I would imagine, in some Liverpool bed sit in 1978. And then an even worse imitation of it, Catfish and the Bottlemen. I mean, if you're a catfish, that means you're in the sea. So are the Bottlemen kind of like men carrying bottles underwater? I mean, and why does the catfish associate with said Bottlemen anyway? Are they friends? What's the job of the Bottlemen carrying their bottles underwater? Or does the catfish live out of water? And if so, how does he breathe? And where does he get the oxygen? Yeah, fish breathe oxygen in water, don't they? But where does he get the oxygen in the air to sing? If he's a catfish, why was he inspired by a catfish to want to imitate a catfish when he's in a band? Does he think that's going to get more girls? Assuming he's not gay, of course. Well, again, I suppose that's deliberate, isn't it? So I haven't really got too much to say. The Skids. I bet they were originally called the Skid Marks and then didn't have the balls to go through with it, did they? Because they probably started out in the days of punk, But, so take marks away. What does the Skids mean? Why would you call yourself the Skids? So that's why I think they're originally Skid Marks, or should have remained. U2, I mean, nothing U2 ever did, or it was right, never. It's the catalogue of what not to do from start to finish. But, talking about their name U2, apart from it sounding like U2, like not just me, but U2, yeah? But it's basically a spy plane from 1960, I think, a US spy plane over Russia. It was shot down, wasn't it? Captured. So are they saying we are into American spy missions, I guess? Typical U2 attitude. ZZ Top, well, that, ZZ Top if they were English, which they're not, so it's ZZ Top. Just obvious attempt to get to the back of the alphabet. But why would you want to go to the back instead of the front. It doesn't make any sense. That they're the last group, if anybody does anything by alphabetical order, whether it be filing your records or looking for records in a record shop or looking through a book about bands, they are the last band you'd come to. Why would they choose to be the last band? They haven't thought that through, have they? The Shout Out Louds is the stupidest name I've ever heard, but they've faded away now, thank God. Def Leppard, crap imitation of Led Zeppelin. I'm going to hurry up now. Def Leppard, crap imitation of Led Zeppelin. James, why? Why not Leonard? Why not Phil? You know, why James? Oh, sit down, oh, sit down. And what does sit down mean? New Order, that's just a Nazi name, so that's terrible. The Shins, why? Why not, you know, what else could you... why would you think... You know what? The body part that really sort of sums our music up is the shin. But there's more than one of us, so it's the Shins. You know, I don't get it. Five, do you remember the boy band Five? Well, at one point, one of the members left, but they carried on using their brand name Five and going on tour with only 4 of them. Mad. What does that say? Carter and the Unstoppable Sex Machine. Well, I could have just called themselves the Unstoppable Sex Machine. Carter and the Unstoppable Sex Machine. Status Quo, I thought, although I really like the name and the sound of it, it's great. Its meaning means things as they are, the existing status quo. You know, it's like a very un-rock and roll name in that sense. It's like, what are they for? The monarchy and, you know, rich people sort of tax dodging and everybody else suffering, I suppose. The Electric Soft Parade. Does anybody remember them nicking the soft parade off the doors and sticking electric in front of it when... I mean, electricity isn't new. Jesus. It's been around for 150 years. It's not new. It's stupid. Why not call yourself the Wooden Soft Parade? That would have been better. And I remember seeing them live once, and the keyboard player thought it was cool to dance on his keyboards to liven things up. And by God, it needed livening up. Keane, on that point, stupid name. Are they named after the softest, most bland band ever? Or are named after what? Roy Keane, the hard footballer that used to kick people's legs. Where's the connection? It certainly isn't in the music. And they also had like a weird keyboard player that used to kind of go like this, as if he was playing the loudest heavy metal ever or the most danceable music ever when it was shit. Oasis, why are they called Oasis? They're from Manchester, from Burnage. I don't remember, I've lived there. Don't remember any Oases in Burnage. Noel Gallagher said when he heard what Liam Gallagher had called the band, he said, sound like a reggae band. Yeah, they do. Well, yeah, but you don't get Oases in Jamaica either. You get them in Arabia. So they're playing the wrong music. Should have been playing Arabian music, you know, like. And I introduced Bony Ducky before. I'm just going to kind of, here he is. Bony Ducky, I want you to kind of give me a selection of your favourite bands to finish off. Well, Bony Tony, my first choice is is Dukan, that 80s cheese band. Remember Dukan, you know. Her name is Rio and she swims across the pond. And then what else? Doctor and the Medics. Not doctor, but Doctor. Do you get it? Me? No, I think you'll have to explain it. Well, I'm a duck, and there's a band called Doctor and the... Oh, all right. Anything more up to date? Yes, Drake. He's good, isn't he, Drake? And also, while we're on what about films? Oh, anything with Dracula in it. And anything more heavy, anything rocky? Yes, Paddle of Mud. Do you remember them, Paddle of Mud? Well, thank you, Bony Tony. We're going to have to go now because it's been rather a long one, hasn't it? So, good night and God bless. Clunk, click every trip.